And we're back with another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. Rick's Rated R Horror Review Show, where we review all things related to horror, but especially horror movies. We love horror movies around here, don't we? Yeah, we do. We love movies about demons, demonic possession, horrors in space. Oh, yeah. Ghosts in your attic. Ghost in your closet. A ghost behind you right now. We love that shit around here, don't we? Yeah, we do. We love all things that's scary. And in tonight's episode, we're going to review something that simply wasn't scary. What? You gonna review a movie that wasn't horror? I thought you done. You don't do horror review shows. Well, I thought the movie was supposed to be scary, but it just turns out that it wasn't. If this is your first episode, which I really hope it isn't, but it is, we have a very, very, very simple format around here. We talk about the things I like. We talk about the things I don't like. Then we do a plot review commentary, but no analysis because we're not experts. We just do this shit because we like it. And then we'll give this movie a rating. So let's jump right into it, right? This is as always, a spoiler full review of the film. And the film is called Infinity Pool. Film is called what? Infinity what? Like Avengers Infinity? Infinity Pool. It one of them fancy pools or something that look like it goes into the ocean. And that's why it's called Infinity Pool or something like that. Well, that's definitely an infinity pool, but I think this is a play on words. It's infinity pool for other reasons. Pool as in meaning not necessarily a pool of water, but a pool of things that we'll reveal later. Oh, like pooling resources together. Kind of like resources, sure. I get it. So it's not about water. Not about water. It's not about the ocean or the pool going into the ocean. It's not about the pool going into the ocean. It's about resources. It's about a special type of resource, yeah, an endless. That's why it's called infinity. A sort of endless resource. Oh, I get it. Let me write that down. I like that phrase, infinity pool. You know, that would be a good name for a pool house, don't you think? Infinity Pool. It just go in there and pay pool all night long, like forever, every day, like all the way up to infinity and beyond. Like that one movie with the little cartoon kids and the funny guy who does space and the cowboy guy. You know, my granddaddy loved that cowboy guy. He says a real funny guy. He loved that horses. That's right. Okay, well, I appreciate that, but we're not talking about that right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please get back to the Infinity Pool. Yeah. So Infinity Pool. So let's talk about the things I liked about Infinity Pool. It had great acting. It did. It really did. As much as I didn't really like the acting, or rather, as much as I did not like the movie, I thought Infinity Pool had great acting. I was really, really, really in the story. I was there with the characters. As much as I didn't like the story, as much as I didn't really enjoy the characters, I was there. So they did a really good job at acting. It also had great cars. Beautiful selection of cars. And I've loved it. So many vehicles. They had like a Lincoln Continental looking vehicle and several Lincoln Continental looking vehicles. I'm talking about like classic muscle cars with giant engines. My grandpappy had one of them cars with a giant engine. That thing used some on gasoline. I mean, you need to pump like 32 gallons in that thing just to get to the corner store to get the beer and stuff like that. It was hilarious. I mean, not that I bought beer, obviously, because I was on the ridge and everything, but that's what my grandpappy told me. I never did that. Grandpappy, if you listen out there, I never took your car to buy beer. I swear to you. I don't know. Lord Jesus Almighty, I never did that. Okay, thanks. Anyway, things I didn't like. Rich people getting away with murder. Well, that's the story of this country now, ain't it? And rich people just getting away with their murder all the time. And just don't do whatever they want without any real consequence. There wasn't that one actress a long time ago. She done almost killed somebody. And she ain't never went to jail. Sort of like that, but this is actually people who are getting away with murder. But let me continue. I'm sorry. I'm just distracting your show now. I'm sorry. Thank you. Rich people getting away with murder. Zero explanation behind the doubling technology, and the doubling technology turns out to be cloning. Why wasn't this explained? Where is this technology coming from? Why do they only have it? How are they so good at cloning but so bad at everything else? And this movie takes place in some pseudo-former Soviet Union country, which, by the way, I just absolutely hate. It's in a fake country on planet Earth. It's not like in some galaxy far, far away where, you know, you can tell a sci-fi story. This takes place on planet Earth on some country that doesn't exist, which really grinds my gears. You know what really grinds my gears? Not Peter Griffin. So that really, really angers me. If it's going to take place on Earth, then you know, put it on a place that exists on Earth. But it doesn't. It's some pseudo-Soviet former Union-looking like country where their own language, their own symbols for letters, and it's just weird. I don't like it. I don't like that. Place it somewhere on Earth that I can relate to. And this is an important thing because they use money and there's currency, and I want to know what the conversion rate. I want to know what this doubling technology is costing these rich people. Anyway, there's also unnecessary sex scenes. We'll talk necessarily. Well, we necessarily need to talk about the unnecessary sex. Now you confused yourself, Sarah, didn't you? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes. Well, it's still funny. It's real funny. Thank you. So there's unnecessary sex scenes, and I say unnecessary because there's no real point to it. I don't know what they're trying to tell with that stuff. But anyway, let's get into the story because I don't want to drag this out any longer than we need to. The story is a 2-hour movie. You spend 2 hours of your life watching something you don't like? I did it for the audience. Boy, they must love you. Yeah, they do. So the story is about, by the way, one thing that bothers me. The story. Another thing that bothers me. The story. This story is about a novelist. Out of all the characters or about all the occupations that you could have chosen, you chose a novelist. Why? That's so lame. It's so overdone. An out-of-work novelist. Choose somebody that was laid off. A teacher. A construction worker. A coal miner. Oh, my grandpappy was a coal miner. And ain't never been laid off. That man worked from the time that he was 12 years old all the way up until he was 92. He ain't never not do a day of work in his life. He ain't never be laid off. He'd never been at this place because he never take no vacation. I thank you. I get that. But the point I'm trying to say is like the idea that we have to follow the story of a novelist is just so lame and overdone and it's boring. The novelist who can't write. Why? Why is that a thing? Uncreative. I hated it. But anyway, we're following the story of a novelist, James Foster, and his wife, Em. And they're at this fictional resort somewhere in some country that doesn't fucking exist. And it's called Litolka. Okay? And there they meet Gabby. And Gabby is a fan of James Foster. And they have a conversation about, James. And she's British, of course. And anytime I hear a British person say the name James, you know what I think about? You think about the London Bridge? No. I think about James Bond. Oh, James Bond. Yeah, I know that guy. He was a soccer player, right? I'm just kidding. I know who he is. He's that handsome devil who does in action movies, and he just says, James Bond. James Bond. That's him. Real good acting. Wow, thank you. So anytime I hear anybody say the word or the name James with a British accent, I think of James Bond. So sure enough, Gabby is a fan of James Foster. This is not James Bond. I wish it was, but it's not. It's James Foster. And she butters him up. Oh, James, I read your novel. I've been here 6 days, and I can't believe I couldn't approach you before, but I just couldn't build up the courage to say how much I love that novel, and I've been waiting for the next one for 6 years. But I'm such a loyal fan. I'd love for you and your wife here, for you and your wife to join me and my husband for dinner. His name is Alban, and I think it would just be absolutely lovely, and we could have a good time, and we could talk about really boring things like the kind of work all of us do, and just enjoy each other's company for the night. And that's what they do. And they agreed to go to dinner with this couple that they just fucking met for some reason. I don't know why they would ever do that, but I guess, that's what rich people do. So they do in fact go to dinner, and they have the most boring conversation, and Alvin, who's like Swiss French guy, introduces himself, and he's like Gabby's husband. My name is James. I'm originally Switzerland, but then I am via France. But now I do architecture in Los Angeles, and that's me. And this is my wife, Gabby, and she is an actress who is very good at what she does. Show them. So it turns out Gabby is an actress, and she has a very interesting job, as a matter of fact. This is very interesting to me. She's an actress who is actually good at failing. So she is the type of person who would be in commercials where the person who is in the commercial is failing at something. Like to sell you a device. To sell you a magic chopper. Like, are you tired of cutting onions the old-fashioned way? Is your knife too dull? And Gabby would be like, uh-huh. It's cutting tomatoes all day, cutting into time that you could be using to spend time with your family? And Gabby would be like, uh-huh. Well, we have a solution to your problem. It's called the Insta-Chopper. And it chops, it dices, it slices, it juliennes, all in a nick of time, so that you can spend time with your loved ones. And that's what she does. She acts in commercials, and she's the person who just fails at some really simple task. That's her job. Anyway, they have a conversation about their jobs, and then they agree to meet each other the next day. Again, they agreed to meet each other for dinner, and now they're agreeing to meet each other for a long day of who knows what the next day. And they do that, and it's an important thing to point out. I mentioned the cars earlier. The car is an important thing because it's actually borrowed by somebody that turns out to be a family member of the sheriff in this city, or this town, or this country. There's the sheriff in the country. And a plot point here that is pretty weak. They're not supposed to leave the resort because the place is dangerous to tourists. Like, outside of the resort is dangerous to tourists. So the resort is extremely gated. But one of the things that I really hate is that they don't mention why it's dangerous for them to leave. You just want the audience to accept that it's dangerous without telling us why it's dangerous. Now, I know you want an explanation about why it's dangerous, don't you? Like, you want to know everything. Yeah, I do. I'm not an idiot. I want motives. I want reasons. I want to know why this is such a dangerous place for the audience. Well, maybe they just have, like, really bad diseases or really, like, crazy animals who kill you if you, like, leave the premises or something like that. Okay, may that be the case. They could have told us that. Don't leave the premises because we have really terrible diseases and the animals out there are wild and uncontrollable and they'll eat you. I'll drink that Kool-Aid. But they don't. They don't say that. Well, I mean, do they have to tell you? They can't you just believe it? No. I must be told this. I want to know. I must know. Oh, all right. And I think it turns out, and this is just me interjecting my own, the way I would have written, it's like, well, you can't leave. So you can't leave the resort because too many tourists have been killed by the locals because it turns out that these tourists don't follow the law. And because they don't follow the law, the people here of the country, the respectful people that actually follow the law and live here and make a living here and die here and bury their loved ones here, those who follow the law are not appreciative of tourists like you who just come every day, every season to break the law. And so anytime they find a tourist outside of the resort, they not necessarily kill you, but you're definitely in for a good beating. I would have loved, okay, that's a perfect explanation. these fucking tourists are breaking the law so much that the locals have come to hate them. Okay, yeah, I'll drink that Kool-Aid.
I also like Kool-Aid.
I do like Kool-Aid.
I like Kool-Aid too.
Cool. They don't say that. They leave in this car that belongs to the sheriff for some reason, and they're out and about, and they go to a barbecue or a picnic at the beach, and they're getting drunk, and they're eating all day. And in one of these scenes, this is one of those scenes where I said unnecessary sex scenes. When one of these scenes at the beach during the drunken festivities, Gabby just masturbates James for no reason. It's just in the story. Someone wrote that in there. Gabby masturbates James at the beach. Scene. Outside. Exterior. Nighttime. It's in there. It's in the script. And then after that scene, they all decide to go home or back to the resort at the very least, and they jump back in their car. And this is, I think, at the point where I start to, to believe that maybe we're going to start to see some scary shit. The lights start flickering in that beautiful vehicle. Maybe this is where, maybe they can't leave because there's creatures that will kill them. And they didn't tell us that earlier because that's part of the story. So the lights start to flicker. Maybe there's a ghost in the middle of the road or some shit like that. You know when that ghost takes over objects and that can manipulate things through the electromagnetic spectrum? I love that. Well, that doesn't happen. Lights start to flicker and all of a sudden... crash. Drunken James in a drunken car accident hits a farmer walking across the street. And there's potential there. Maybe this farmer is going to get reanimated. Maybe he'll come back to life or something. Oh, here we go. This is where it starts to get crazy. Maybe this was just fake. This person's just going to disappear. It's a ghost. It does this all the time. It's going to disappear, and then the real fucking ghost is going to come and start haunting them, and it's going to turn into, at the very least, a slasher film or some shit. Nope. Gabby gets out of the car, and she's urging James, James, we can't call the police because if you call the police, we'll wind up at the police station, which is where they usually take people who could commit crimes. But the oddity about it all is that if they take us women to the police station, we'll wind up getting raped, and you perhaps will spend the night in jail and then murdered. James is like, what? I think he's Australian, or maybe he's American. I don't think he's Australian. What do you mean we'll get to jail for this? This is an accident. We don't go to jail. We just, they talk to us and we tell them how sorry we are and everything will be okay. James, you have to get in your vehicle, otherwise we'll go to jail where we will be raped and you will likely be murdered. And so they jump back into the car and all the lights are all mysteriously working just fine. And they drive back to the resort where there's this super tense scene about whether or not they're going to be let back into the resort. Getting a lot of Sam, here's my key card to prove that I'm part of this resort. I'm sorry that I left. I just got lost. Somehow I made it out the gate with this vehicle. I don't know how. We were just in the middle of the carnival and it was awesome. And there's the scene earlier, which I forgot to mention, where there's, I guess, a carnival and everybody's wearing these creepy masks. Actually, I should have said things that I liked. Things I liked. The creepy masks. That we're really sorry. We just want to get back in, and we just got lost. Somehow we made it out of the gate with this car and all of this food and booze, but we really didn't mean to. It just happened that way. And of course, stupid characters in the movie, they get lit in.
They just let them waltz back in the resort without any trouble like that.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, man, I'm starting to like this film now.
Mm-hmm. So, they're back in the resort, and sure enough, the next morning, we wake up, and Em is traumatized. Em is James' wife. I'm James. What happened yesterday, it was a very traumatizing experience for me, and I believe we should return to the United States of America, our home country. I don't know if she didn't say United States of America, but we have to return home. And James, unfortunately, can't find his passport. Or can't.
God damn, I'm so sorry, but I think they took my passport
when I was super drunk. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know what's gonna go. Actually, no, that doesn't happen just yet. There's a knock at the door. And they're waking up the next morning.
Oh my God, is that room service?
finally, like, Miss Margarita, she does all the important work around here. Otherwise, she's gonna make the bed. And, like, who's gonna put toothpaste on my toothbrush? That's so much work. I don't want to worry about that. It's just like, you know? And, like, my shoes, they need to be paired up. Otherwise, like, how am I going to put the shoes on if they're not paired up? Which one is the left? Which one is the right? I don't know that. That's why Margarita does all of that stuff for me. So James walks towards the door. And he opens it. Where's Margarita? Are you guys room service? And of course, no sir, Mr. James. Are you James Foster? That depends. Are you room service? Are you here? I still don't see Margarita, but maybe it's Margarito. I see a lot of men here. Are you Margaritos? Are you gonna come in here and clean up and put my clothes where I can see them and shower and take my dirty towels? Because I need that. I can't do that for myself. And of course, it's the police. And they say, Mr. Foster, you must come with us. There has been crime committed last night. Murder happened. And we believe you are suspect number 1. Murder? What do you mean? Oh, that old thing. No, that was an accident. Like, that guy was just, like, for some reason walking in the middle of the road, and I just didn't see them. I didn't see him. I really wasn't driving that fast, and I only had a couple of drinks, and it was, like, a few minutes before I jumped behind the wheel. It's totally cool. I swear to you, I wasn't drunk. I wasn't even swerving. Go back and look at the footage. I was driving straight. It's just the stupid lights in that old car. They were just like turning on and off, and I couldn't see. Be that the case, Mr. James, you must come with us to police precinct. And of course he doesn't want to go. And they take him, and they wind up taking his wife. And they separate them while at their police station, and they are taken to, we only see M, we only see James. And they take James to what appears to be a torture chamber almost. Like, it's a really ugly looking place. Anyway, as this is happening, that character I mentioned to you, the nephew or the uncle or somebody related to the person who loaned him the car walks in. He's the sheriff of the town or the city or the country. And he's telling him for the crime that he committed, he must be killed. For committing crime like you did last night, Mr. James Foster, it is typical Litolka tradition that you must be killed. But, of course, because you are a rich white man, you will get away with murder tonight. What we will do is we will copy you. We will take DNA from you and make a copy of James Foster. We will make copy-paste James Foster, and then he will be killed in your place unless you would not like to pay. If you would not like to pay undisclosed amount of sum, then we will kill you instead of copy-paste James Foster. And James is like, what do you mean, kill me? It was an accident, I already told you that. It's not my fault. Sure, I was behind the wheel when I hit him, but I mean, what's he doing in the middle of the road? He should know that people like to have a little bit of fun and drink. It's really mostly his fault for not paying attention. Didn't his mother tell him to look both ways before crossing a street? Like, my mom used to say that before she'd take us to school in our BMW. And, you know, I know that the people, like, the other kids who didn't have cars, like, you know, the poor people, they're, like, supposed to look both ways. I know that. And he looked like a poor to me. And, of course, the police officer's just looking at him and telling him, you either sign the document and pay us. You sign document and pay, or farmer's second-born son will kill you because firstborn is dead. Second-born is 13. He's man enough to hold gun or knife to kill you. So if you do not pay, you will be stabbed to death by a 13-year-old boy with rage and hormone. Rage and hormone, no good combination for you, Mr. Foster. Very, very deadly, in fact. So sign paper, pay money, and leave. All right, I have to take out the money from the ATM. Do you have an ATM around here? Is there a Chase Bank? What kind of bank is available? I hope that machine over there doesn't have a withdrawal fee because M's going to kill me. She's rich, you know. I'm actually very poor. But don't say that. Don't say that to anybody. Nobody knows that. Just keep that to yourself. M has all the money. I'm rich. I'm sorry, I'm poor. Well, I'm not really poor anymore because I married her. And by definition, her money's my money now. Joke's on her. So he walks over to the ATM. And withdraws an undisclosed amount of money because, again, we don't know where this fucking country is. Litolka doesn't exist. We don't know how much money. He sees a stack of money, which, could be converted into any particular sum in any other country's currency. But it turns out that it's probably expensive. We just don't know. I would like to know.
Oh, you're right. Okay, you go and do that again. You want to know everything about everything. I mean, sometimes you gotta roll with the story and let it be. Do you really need to know how expensive it is?
I do. I need to be able to relate it. I want to find this stuff relatable. A good story is relatable to the audience. A bad story is not.
Well, what about them Star Wars movies? Are they relatable? I got you there. You ain't got no lightsaber. Your daddy ain't no person in no black helmet.
You're right, I don't have a lightsaber, and my daddy's not a person in a black helmet, but the relationship between the father and the son is very relatable.
Oh, you're good. You're really good.
So when a story is relatable, it's easier for the audience to digest. And this is not relatable. I don't know how much money he spends. I'm assuming some large amount of money.
How much is a large amount of money to you? Like, I don't know, like $20 you think cost a clone or something like that? I don't know much about cloning, to be honest with you. I mean, I read about it, but I don't know how much something like that could cost. Maybe like, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. No idea, because I don't have a point of reference.
Yeah, I guess I get your point about knowing the currency now.
Thank you. Anyway, they agree to pay the sum of money and have a clone made of him. And this is where we get into the cloned tomato salesperson, where they don't explain the science behind the cloning. They don't explain how Litolka, a country full of farmers supposedly, can have a technology that can clone people in a weird process. And they take James and they start the cloning procedure where he wears a weird mouth guard where his teeth are exposed for no reason. His ass is exposed for no reason. Women are measuring him with a device for no reason. It's the most unscientific thing I've ever seen in my life. Why would you measure somebody that way? And then they take him to the tomato sauce pool, which I'm assuming is the infinity pool that we talked about earlier. And to me, it looks like a pool, or rather, it looks like tomato sauce. It has a consistency of tomato sauce with the consistency of liquefied raspberry.
Are you talking about like tomato raspberry sauce? I don't think I've ever had that.
I don't think I've had that either, but that's what it looked like to me.
Well, that doesn't sound too tasty. I hope he's all right in there.
I don't think he's supposed to eat it.
Oh.
So he gets dunked in this tomato sauce pool with raspberry extract or raspberry puree, and it's all mixed in there, and all of a sudden we see scenes that could cause epilepsy, or seizures, I should say. And that's where I said the shots earlier were really boring and annoying. It just flashes, flashy, and more flashing. And again, this is probably Johnson's idea of how everybody remembers Johnson. You remember Johnson, right?
Oh, I know Johnson. He's got terrible ideas. I know him. He done write like the worst things in movies. I don't know how he even has a job anymore.
So this is definitely Johnson's idea, and the method by which the cloning is happening doesn't look scientific at all. Literally is a bunch of flashes, some colorful scenes, weird camera angles, weird people, and I think maybe there's some unnecessary sex in those scenes, as I mentioned earlier. And at the end of it all, there's a clone of James. That's the scientific process, everybody. No hypothesis, no experimentation, no repeatable results. Well, actually, repeatable results, yes, because you do clone repeatedly, but in a very unscientific way. So he gets cloned, and part of the agreement to not be shot yourself is that your clone must be, killed. There's not necessarily shot, but killed for your crimes. Is you have to watch your clone be killed. And so James, or the clone of James, because we don't know, is sitting in a beach stand, a bench, along with the family members of the man who was killed. While one of the family members, his 13-year-old son, approaches the clone or the real James, we don't know at this point, and starts stabbing him.
Don't kill my daddy. I'll kill you now. I'm stabbing your gut. On the other side of your gut. How do you like that, James Foster?
And either the real James Foster or the clone James Foster is not dead. And M, traumatized as she should be after seeing her husband or a clone of her husband be killed, decides that it's not really time to leave the country. But James, for some reason, doesn't like that. And I mentioned earlier he hid his passport. This is the point at which he hides his passport. We don't know this, but he can't find it. Later in the movie, we found out he hid his fucking passport. So he's not ready to leave for some reason. He makes up some excuse that he can't find his passport. But we know he doesn't have it because he hid it. We don't know this in the movie yet, but he hid it.
Oh, you don't confuse the audience by revealing that now. Nah.
They'll be fine. He doesn't want to leave for some reason, so he hides the passport. We find out later in the movie. He goes down with the pretense that his passport is lost to tell the front desk reception that he can't leave. He has to stay another week. At this point, he meets Gabby again. And Gabby's like, James, I'm so sorry about what happened last night and the murdering, but I told you we couldn't go to jail. This has happened to us before. I just come up with a lousy excuse for us not to have to go through that process again. But I'm really sorry. Come have a drink with me. We'll have a beautiful drink. James, do you by any fancy drinks that are shaken and not stirred? Wrong, James. Oh, well, in any case, alcoholic beverage, a martini. It turns out actually they do have martinis. Maybe it's a play on James Bond. I don't know. Anyway, they're sitting there having martinis, and James now agrees to go with Gabby to meet her husband and a group of other people who wind up being fucking weirdos. More rich people. And they have also been killed. So they've been cloned. And it's just weird. It's a weird scene. And they're all sitting around drinking. And somebody decides that, I don't know if it's the husband, maybe it's not. It is Gabby's husband. That's the gentleman who won a award for building architecture building better than mine. So he won medal by country of Litolka. How do you say we go steal medal and show him who's boss? And all the crazy rich fucking drunk people are like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go out kill this guy. Or actually, let's go steal his medal. We don't know that they're going to go and kill this guy. And we know James is going to accept. And one of the guys, I think it's either Gabby's husband or one of the other characters. I don't remember his name. Turns out to be a doctor. Conveniently a doctor, and I'll tell you what, a little later, points a gun at him and tells him, come on, James, you're gonna come with us, right? Otherwise, I'll just kill you right here. And James is like, weird. Drinks a glass of some kind of alcoholic beverage, just downs it. Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm ready to go. I'm like so crunked. I'm so crunked. Let's go. And they leave to find this place of this man who built a better resort to steal his medal. And they get there and more unnecessary sex scenes. He's there with his partner and they're having sex and they're just nude on the floor while they're about to be executed. And then there's this weird shootout. They find the medal. They accomplish what they set out to accomplish. And there's a weird shootout between Gabby and some other character who I don't recall why he was there. But he starts shooting at Gabby. And Gabby returns fire. Sir, how dare you fire your firearm at me? I am a lady. You shouldn't fire at a lady. I'll return fire to you too, sir. Here we go. Pointing weapon. And bang. A shot. A shot has rung. And another one. Bang. Oh, I've missed once again, sir. I am not the best shot. But I am in distress and fleeing as I shoot. And a shot, and a shot. Aha, success! I finally struck. So she strikes this person in the leg, but unfortunately this guy who's been shooting, I don't know who he was, also hits her husband in the leg as well. Oh, I have been shot in leg. It's very painful now. What must we do? And of course, there's the doctor in the group. Well, we must take you to my consultorium. There's up the street. We will walk. We will carry you, but you will be there fine. And they all, for some reason, make it out to this other guy's place. And, yeah. They steal the medal, and there's this unnecessary scene. And they get caught. And then they all go to jail. And then they're all duplicated again, or cloned, or doubled. And they all get murdered. And now it's the second clone, right? So now he's been cloned. Now he's been forced to see himself again. Now it's really starting to get to him. Now it's like to James. Yeah, this is the story, by the way. This weird shit happening. Okay? They all get doubled, and they're all criminals now, right? And so at this point, I think it really starts to hit James. He's like, oh, I don't know what the fuck is this. You know, like, I think I've had enough. It seems like James finally starts to turn into a reasonable character. So this is where we find out he hid his passport under his sink.
Hid the passport under the sink? That's such a lame place.
Yeah, but you know who wrote this movie.
Well, it was Johnson.
That's right, Johnson. So he grabs his passport, grabs his bag, says bye to the reception, jumps into a beautiful bus. I mentioned beautiful vehicles. The BMW bus that's taking him to the airport is one of them. And unfortunately, I'm not going to drag this out. Gabby and the party show up and start blasting in more beautiful vehicles, start blasting at the beautiful BMW bus until the beautiful BMW bus stops and the beautiful vehicles are in front of it and demanding that James get out. So James gets out and they parade him and mock him over the street. Oh, James, yeah, you shouldn't have left this. You know, I can't believe that you would just leave us like that. Well, I can't really believe it, but I have something to tell you, James. I never really read your novel. I thought it was rubbish. You're a terrible author, James. I'll have a review here. And she proceeds to read a review, and she's on the roof. She's on the hood of a car, one of those beautiful cars, reading a review of James. And James kind of has enough. Fights her. She drops the gun. He flees, shoots her in the leg. He reaches a house, mysterious house in Litolka, which, by the way, is supposed to be dangerous for the tourists. Well, it turns out it's the family of the gentleman that he ran over. And they're healing him. They're doing their best they can. And he's hallucinating again now because of some of these drugs that Gabby has been feeding him, which I forgot to mention. So he's been fed drugs, and it's just fucking weird. Anyway, they find him again. And now they confront him. Gabby confronts him. The group confront him again in that beautiful vehicle. And now there's a second clone of him, or a third clone at this point. I've lost track. There's a third clone of him, and Gabby is asking him to kill his clone. And I forgot a scene. Let me back up one scene, because it's important. Under the pretense of abducting the sheriff, who everybody said was the person responsible for not being able to get James another passport, they cloned another James and forced James to beat this person up under the pretense that if he does this, the sheriff will give him his passport. James knows very well that there's no passport missing because he has his passport. But he beats up this person anyway. And so there's this scene of him beating up another person, and it turns out, and it's revealed that it's another clone of him. And I think that's what really set him on that trajectory of jumping on that bus and leaving. So they capture him before he does that, chase him through a field, he winds up in a house, and now they confront him outside the house with yet another clone who is now called the dog. And Gabby's like, you must kill him. Oh, James, just kill the dog, everything will be fine. And James is, I think, coming to his senses finally, thank God. I won't do that. I'm sorry, but I've already beat up my own self too many times, and it's just like really messing with my brain. I can't. I just want to see Margarita. She's just so awesome, you know. She takes care of my stuff. I just want to go home. So he refuses to beat up the dog, but the dog attacks him. The dog being another clone of him. It's not an actual dog. It's just him in a leash and naked. And there's the scuffle. Refuses to kill him, throws the knife down, but of course he's attacked by the dog and beats him to death. Beats him to death, and now he's clearly distressed at this point. More drugs. The clone is given drugs. He's given drugs. And then for some reason, again, the unnecessary sex scenes, or unnecessary, I mean, not necessarily sex scene, but a weird fucking scene anyway. Gabby breastfeeds James Why?
Because Johnson wrote this movie. That's because it's so dumb.
That's right, Johnson. So she breastfeeds him after the fight. And, good Lord. That's kind of it. That's the weird shit. The next day, everybody's normal. And they're all just acting like normal tourists, casually having conversations about the shit that they're going to do the next day or when they return to the United States. Cabbies. I've caught, when my husband is away doing his architecture thing, I tend to redecorate the house, which is something he really annoys, but I love it. I think it's lovely. I love redecorating the house. Good Lord, me having a job, that's for the poor. I just redecorate my house all day, every day, until my husband comes home from work, because working is for the poor. And the husband's like, oh, Gertrude totally drives me mad when she's redecorating house. I'm architect by profession. I just don't understand why she does that. And it's really quite weird. And it's just, I don't understand. And by the way, again, he's Swiss, from London, he's German, he's just weird accent all over the place. But I understand, that's my wife, and I quite love her. I love her, she's quite beautiful. And the other two characters, more characters, the doctor, and there's a woman in that group, and then some other crazy fucking person on, the same shit. Well, I love to paint the walls and redecorate too. And it's just pointless. Just acting weird, or rather normal, as normal as you can possibly act, but talking about really boring shit on a bus, on a beautiful bus, I must mention.
You really like that buzz, huh?
I love the bus. The best part of the film were the bus scenes and when the cars show up.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And that's it. And then they all go off on their main way into the airport, and then we see the final shot of James waiting himself at the airport. He's looking at his passport, and he's returning to Australia. For some reason, he doesn't. He stays back at the resort during the rain season, and the movie ends. So there's a shot of James sitting on a beach chair as the rain season begins, and the movie ends. And that's the movie, folks. And no horror. Ever. At all. No explanation of the cloning process. No explanation why the tourists are being hunted or threatened by the locals. No reason why they couldn't get out of the resort. And that's the movie. And because that's the movie, the only thing that I can give this movie at this point, because it wasn't a horror movie and because it wasn't even an entertaining movie, this movie deserves a 1 out of 10.
Boy, you won't like this movie, huh?
It's not for me. It's a weird movie. It may be for other people, but it certainly was not for me. I didn't enjoy it. This movie gets on 1 out of 10. And folks, if you're still here, I really want to appreciate you for listening to another episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show, where we sometimes think we're going to review a horror movie, but we wind up reviewing some weird shit. But that's life. Listen, and again, thanks for listening, and until next time on Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show.